This Italian stanzic form of poetry is composed of tercets woven into a rhyme scheme.
Tercet is a set or group of 3 lines in a stanza rhyming together or having a connected rhyme, also known as a chain rhyme.
The terza rima has a strict rhyme scheme which follows the pattern of ABA, BCB, CDC, and so on.
So that the first and third line of a tercet must rhyme, and the second line in the tercet must rhyme with the first and third line of the next tercet.
This type of poetry is typically written in an iambic line, or also known as an iambic pentameter.
Iambic pentameters are lines in a verse with 5 metrical feet, with each consisting of a long or stressed syllable followed by one short or unstressed syllable.
For example, 2 households both alike in dignity.
Here you can see that the stressed words are households and dignity. For example, house has a louder and more stressed sound than hold, which has a softer sound and tone overall.
If the length of a line is different and doesn't follow the traditional structure, then all the following lines in the poem must also be the same length as the first line of the poem.
This form of poetry was invented by the Italian poet Dante Alighieri in the late 13th century as part of his 3-part epic poem.
It was favored in the 14th century in Italy mainly for allegorical and didactic poetry.
The first poem we have is a traditional styled poem, Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost.
I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the further city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street, but not to call me back or say goodbye, but further still at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right. I have been one acquainted with the night.
The poem just spoken was quiet yet impacting, talking about the isolation within the night. In the poem, he describes the fact that he has no friends or family and he avoids the only other man, the watchman.
The next poem is more modern and is written in an easier text to understand and therefore depict. It is Loud Today, written by Dusty Green.
The voices in my head are loud today. I plug my ears, but I still hear them talk. Oh please, just make them go away. I thought that maybe I could take a walk, that they would quiet down and let me think. I plug my ears, but I still hear them talk. I'm trying not to let my spirit sink, these voices drowning out my fervent plea that they would quiet down and let me think. I hear them use my mouth. That wasn't me. Oh please, help me ignore their foul demands, these voices drowning out my fervent plea. I hang my head, then fiercely wring my hands as they tell me to do such evil things. Oh please, help me ignore their foul demands. Pure misery their constant echoes bring, as they tell me to do such evil things. The voices in my head are loud today. Oh please, just make them go away.
This poem provides great imagery of the struggle this man is having. He is being distracted from left to right and cannot focus on anything.
The thoughts that enter his brain are so horrendous that he loses control over his body. Like an insane man trying to remain sane, he claims that it is just his head, even though his head is as much his own as any other part of his body. A man who is not having a very ecstatic day.
In this poem, we can clearly see that the rhyme scheme the terza rima is known for is present. We can see it by looking at the last letters, the first and second tercet.
Today rhymes with away, and the word from the middle of the line, talk, rhymes with the first and last letter of the next verse, walk and talk. This poem is written in third person since the author addresses the other parts of his body as literal people when he says, I plug my ear, but I still hear them talk. And also in the second tercet, that they would quiet down and let me think, and so forth. Repetition is also shown when "oh please" is repeated constantly throughout the poem, as he pleads for some kind of sanity in this situation.
There is personification within the poem. specifically as the writer uses the term voices in my head. Voices convey his thoughts said out loud in his head, causing him to have mixed feelings about his implicit thoughts. With Dusty believing that his body is doing unwanted and rash actions, he blames the voices and not his underlying feelings. Again, this is because the voices are conveyed as his hidden feelings. Through the lines, "I hear my mouth, that wasn't me," readers can easily identify his denial and fears.